86% of agents believe rentals are an important source of current income. It's becoming much more part of the real estate ecosystem. And especially with the affordability headwinds, it's a nice way to kind of keep that income predictable, build those relationships. And agents, MLSs, and brokerages are really responding to that, which has just been incredible to watch and see over the last few years.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Fagioli, and today's guest is one of our new partners, Rental Beast, and we've got PJ Clay with us. So how you doing, man?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. Very excited to be on this podcast and talk about Rental Beast with the members.
Yeah, well, because you're a fan of the Triangle Real Estate Podcast, that we've been doing a bit of a series of interviews connecting with some of the awesome partners that we have now at Triangle that are making the MLS a better experience for agents and brokers. And you guys are no exception. And, rentals have always been an area of weakness for a lot of agents. Certainly there are, agents and brokers who specialize in rentals, but for most agents, rentals is just this other thing. And, we talked offline about a lot of the ways that Rental Beast is helping and changing that. So I can't wait to unpack some of that for the members at Triangle MLS. So can you, as a starting point, just kind of tell everybody what the heck a Rental Beast is?
Yes. Yeah. So the name definitely gets people going. You either love it or you hate it. But what Rental Beast is, our main goal is to make rentals easier for real estate professionals. And so we do that in a few different ways. You can think of us as almost like a rental MLS. I think when I talk with different agents across the country, one thing that's not always apparent is the MLS only has a certain portion of active rentals actually listed. So for example, in the Triangle area, there's about 1,700 active rentals that would be considered a Triangle MLS listing. Rental Beast has access to about 7,400 active rental listings right now. So you're talking about 3x, 4x, the actual rental market. So for a real estate professional, if you're trying to find a rental for your client and you're potentially only using MLS data, you're going to be missing out for your client on those other off MLS listings. So what we wanted to do and what we have done is built this database of rentals, bringing in both the MLS and the off MLS listings into one database for members to be able to access to really understand, what's active and for what price and some criteria about the actual listing itself. So that's a core piece of Rental Beast. And on top of that, we've built really a productivity suite of tools around it to help real estate professionals. So we have lead generation tools. We work with RentPath, Listanza, Zumper to syndicate rentals off to them to help generate leads for agents who have listings. We have lead qualification tools, so you can set up your own autoresponder. So when you get a new lead, email goes out to that client, help you make that critical early client contact without you having to do it. We integrate with showing time, so you can easily schedule showings. We've got an application and tenant screening tool that's built directly with TransUnion to make it easier for members to run applications. And we just try to help kind of build all of the, what we call a lead to lease funnel into one platform for agents to do. And aside of this, which is, a big part of what me and my team do, is the education piece about rentals. So, you started off talking about how rentals have kind of been an afterthought for a lot of people. And that's we understand that. I've been with the company for a decade or so, and over the last 2 years, it's definitely become more, rentals have become more of a thought. But for a long time, it didn't really matter the brokerage firm you were with, the MLS you were with. There was zero training for rentals, like none. And we decided to build our own. So part of what we give the membership is this thing called Rental Beast University that allows an agent to come in, whether you're like a new agent or an experienced agent. We'll teach you everything you need to know about rentals so you can feel very confident when you're working out in the field with it. So that's a high level. I know I kind of talked a little bit there, but about what Rental Beast brings to Triangle MLS membership.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think the bit you started out with talking about 1,700 listings in the MLS versus 7,000 or whatever the numbers are, but
Yeah.
anywhere in that range, I think that really punctuates maybe the biggest part of it for agents and why it's not always top of mind for agents, because we're very MLS focused, and we know that we're only getting a fraction of the data, and so that's a really big deal right there, just to know where to go get the data. We're in a very much a shifting market, so I think rentals is something that people should start paying more and more attention to.
Yeah.
And I know that from my experience talking to people who are really good at rentals and do property management, for example, how that can build a huge flow of business. So maybe, talk about that. Talk about, how agents can use rentals to amp up their sales business.
Yeah, I think that's great. So there's a few different ways, and I don't think they're always necessarily obvious. So when you're talking about making money with rentals, I think there's a few different ways. First is you can work with tenants, right? So you're helping a tenant find a property to rent, and really what you're trying to do there, yet kind of depends. You may or may not earn a commission on that exact transaction, but it's that relationship that you're building that is so key to this. Especially given today's, all the really the headwinds on affordability, interest rates rising, stagnant supply. People are just priced out of the market, but they still have to live somewhere. So helping real estate professionals talk with would-be buyers, helping them find a rental, and keeping that relationship going is just such a key part of what we do, and why Triangle wanted to partner with us is really help bring their membership an opportunity to keep that client, while helping them become a home buyer down the road. So obviously working with tenants, converting them into buyers. But there's this other side. And I think the property managers, they've been the lifeblood of this industry for a long, long time. And I've met a lot of them. They're awesome people. They're kind of on this early, which is representing landlords and investors and helping essentially list those properties. In my opinion, a representing a rental listing is as close as you can get to building a reoccurring predictable income for a real estate professional that you can get. Why? Let's say you've got 12 different rentals you're representing. On average, a rental is going to be on the market every year, every 2 years. And so that's kind of your buffer, your padding of, I know I'm going to be making some sort of commission off of helping get my listing rented, and it becomes predictable reoccurring income. So that piece of it, helping Triangle members find these essentially off MLS rental listings, that's also a core piece of the database. You think about that 77,000 listings, they're not represented by agents. Those are for rent by owner, right? So same thing, FSBO, you got Furbo, you essentially got a hit list of properties that you should definitely be marketing to. And that's another core piece of what we want to do. And that being said, so it's an interesting stat when we went live with Triangle, I think January of this year, right? And what we have found is pretty immediately when we went live, listing counts for the MLS started to increase on the rental side. And there's a few different reasons for that. But one of the most interesting stats, when we look at Q3 of last year versus Q3 of this year, MLS listings are up 56% on rentals, right? That is a massive increase. And I think that there's a few different reasons. It's obviously the tools that we give these members. It's that access to these for rent by owner listings that they necessarily didn't have access to originally. And also just general awareness of rentals, like trying to get, really it becomes more of a thing throughout the real estate community, and a thing that doesn't seem to be almost taboo. For a long time it was, and now it's not.
Yeah, and I think just knowing that there's ease of use, ease of process, agents are busy, we've got lots of sales transactions happening, and when a rental comes up, if it's going to break our process, it's like, oh, now, let's be honest, it's not quite the same commission-wise as selling a house on the front end.
For sure.
And it's a broken process, or it has been. So the fact that you guys are making that more simple is awesome. One of the things we talked about, and I think it was off recording here was your ad edit process and how that works with the MLS. Can you talk about that some?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so we are a what you would call an ad edit of choice, right? So when a Triangle member comes into the MLS and they've got a rental that they want to get active in Triangle, they can use a Paragon, which is the system that they're currently using. They can use that to ad edit, or they can use the Rental Beast ad edit. So what's different about our ad edit versus I think some of the core MLS platforms is our ad edit was built for the rental listing, and that is unique. Like, we have stripped down the fields that may not be pertinent to the rental transaction to really make it, here are the 50 to 100 fields that we need you to enter because this is for what the rental client needs, versus on the, if you're using a core MLS platform, which do a phenomenal job on the for sale side, but there's some information there that's just not pertinent on the rental, right? So being able to really make it easier. The entire platform is mobile friendly. You can do it from, I remember speaking with a Triangle member. I went down there when we launched. They started adding their listings via their iPad, and it was just so easy for them to take pictures of the different rooms, upload it into Rental Beast, and we have a data sync directly with Paragon where that listing will get synced over to the Paragon database as well. So you don't have to add it in Rental Beast and then add it in Paragon. It's a one-stop place. Add it in Rental Beast, and it will flow directly into Paragon.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, you probably know that Triangle is transitioning to this front end of choice method. Do you have that same kind of data sharing with CoreLogic and FBS?
We do, yeah. So we got partners across the country. We've got really good integrations with FBS. We're actually going to be talking about a really cool integration next week at the resale conference. I think we're on stage talking about what we did with FBS, which is very exciting. But yeah, we work with all the big vendors. So yes.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, what else can we do with Rental Beast for agents and brokers to make life easier, find more clients, and all that?
Yeah, so good question. So I think one of the big things, and this would be for agents who or property managers who represent rental listings. Um, so let's go back to the data, how we started this whole conversation. If you are looking at an MLS listing, or you're running, let's say, a comp report for a zip code or a town inside of Triangle MLS, you're only going to be getting that 1,700-ish active rental listings. Yet there's this other off MLS market share out there, again, 3-4x the rental beast has access to, which are going to be priced differently. So what we find when we look, actually, we've done this a bunch of times, we look at the data, the pricing difference between the MLS and Rental Beast, we see like a 10 to 20% difference in pricing, just because of, you think about it, the MLS is kind of its own ecosystem, right? They're kind of they're pulling comp reports off of the MLS versus the rest of the market, which may not be doing that. So for agents who have rental listings, one of the best ways that we can help is giving agents who have listings a better idea of what's available at for what price to more effectively price your rental. And so we find that happens all the time. You can run a comp report directly in Rental Beast using those off MLS rental listings to give yourself a better idea of really how to make sure your property gets priced to the right side. Additionally, for these property managers, I think what's really important, we've talked about this briefly, is our integrations with the PM softwares. So property managers, again, the lifeblood of the industry. They do a high volume of rentals. They do a great job at it. What we have found, and one of the big problems that has been facing the MLSs and we're trying to solve, is because the PM software or the PMs do a volume of rentals, they are using a different software from the MLS to really run their business. So that could be Appfolio, Buildium, Yardi, Rentec. There's a bunch of them. And the problem was, for a lot of PMs, it took a lot more time to not only manage your business inside these PM softwares, but then also get that listing onto the MLS. So what's happened is there just aren't listings on the MLS that some of these PMs use, just because of how many, the volume of rentals they're doing. We wanted to solve that. And so what we did is we integrated with the PM softwares. So for a property manager who's using, let's say, Appfolio, when they syndicate their listing and essentially make it active in Appfolio, that listing gets synced into the Rental Beast database within minutes. And that listing then becomes available for other members to see. And that agent or that property manager can then come claim that listing as their own. So then it forwards on to the MLS. So I was talking with we had a PM, this is like 2 weeks ago. They claimed and added 20 rental listings in about 30 minutes onto the
Wow.
MLS.
Nice.
I challenge anybody else to get 30 listings active and live, or 20 listings active and live in 30 minutes, right? It's not built for that. And so that's a big piece of what we wanted to do and work with the PMs to help make this process easier, get their listings onto the MLS without them having to spend time or money or resources getting that onto the MLS. And it's been a core piece of what we're doing. We've got some really cool features coming out over the next month or two that's going to make that even easier, which we're very excited about.
Man, I'm telling you what, this is really awesome. Rental Beast has just upped the game in rentals, and I know that lots of agents or brokers in the Triangle area are hearing this and saying, "Oh, maybe I'm actually going to work on some rentals going forward." And I know that the agents that really focus on this and build that investor database, and it's like you said, it's the best example of recurring income, recurring revenue in real estate that there is. Absolutely. So
Yeah, and I've got a stat for you. That I think you might find interesting. So we did a big survey out to tens of thousands of real estate professionals earlier this year, and the question was, agents believe rentals. What percent of agents believe rentals are an important source of current income and or future buyers? So what percent do you think people? What percent do you think they responded with?
oh gosh, 5%.
86%.
What?
86% of agents believe rentals are an important source of current income and or future buyers. We had thousands of respondents. And I think it just goes back to what we were talking about originally, which is it's becoming much more of a part of the real estate ecosystem. And especially with the affordability headwinds, it's a nice way to kind of keep that income predictable, build those relationships, and agents, MLSs, and brokerages are really responding to that, which has just been incredible to watch and see over the last few years. So,
Last question I have for you is, how are you looking at the different segments of rental, so long-term versus, sort of short-term Airbnb and mid-term rental and all of that? Is there, how do you guys handle those things?
yeah, good question. So it's a question we get pretty often. We are strictly residential rentals, so we don't do anything with commercial, which is a big question we get asked. And we do not dip our toes into the hyper short term. So you're not like hotel, Airbnb, VRBO. We do not have. We're not looking for those nightly type stays. The inventory that we get is usually about a month long, with our kind of our core inventory being that 6+ month stay. So there's different ways that an agent can actually filter the tool. In our search, there's different ways that agent can filter for short term. And when we are collecting all of that off MLS inventory, a big piece of what we do is actually talk with these communities. We don't scrape listings. We don't do anything like that. We have to physically talk with the community to get those listings, or a property owner, mom and pop shop, to get those listings live in our database. And so why we do that is, number one, to dramatically reduce scams, but also help get that information that the agent needs. So we're going to be asking, what's the lease term like? What's the compensation like? What's the commission like? So it's all stated right there. But we do not dip our toes into the short term. We're mostly month long plus.
Got it. Awesome. Okay. Well, so if I'm an agent or a broker in Triangle and I am ready to dig deeper with Rental Beast, where do I start?
Yes, great question. So right on the homepage, you log in under your TMLS. There's a big Rental Beast icon. It's going to be a green guy in a cape. It's very clear who the Rental Beast is. You click that button and you're brought directly into Rental Beast. There's an SSO. There's no password. There's no nothing you need. And we also have entryways in the actual Paragon system itself. I believe under search or ad edit, there's a Rental Beast search, Rental Beast ad edit. So a member can access us that way.
And how about the university? Is that all on your main website?
Everything's there. So when an agent enters Rental Beast, they're going to be brought into our core dashboard, which You can search for listings. You can run applications. You can add clients as a light CRM. And there's a big education button. You click education, you're going to be brought directly into Rental Beast University, and you can start running courses through there. It's all self-paced. It's all available 24/7, 365. We've got courses on how to win rental listings. So how do you kind of work with those for rent by owners to win those rental listings? We've got courses on overcoming objections, client objections. How do you start a business plan? The entire, really lead to lease funnel. We've got some sort of course on that's completely available for free for every single Triangle member.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, man, thank you so much for being here on the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. We will definitely link to Rental Beast. And guys, if you're listening to this, I strongly encourage you to add rentals to your business plan for 2024. But thank you, as always, for listening to the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. And if you enjoyed this podcast, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and we will see you back here real soon on the Triangle Real Estate Podcast. See you then.